What's the actual fastest way to gain points in the brand new King of the Dead leaderboard? Well, after over 12 hours of playtime, testing every single main quest and a couple high rounds, I have not only found the fastest way, but I have also found a big piece of misinformation that might just completely change the way you grind points for this new mode. As always with these analytical videos, be sure to check the chapters below to skip to whatever section you're most interested in or to the end for the final results. So if you don't know by now, there's a brand new leaderboard event in Zombies, a King of the Dead leaderboard, where getting kills and completing Easter eggs will get you points on this leaderboard, and the top of the leaderboard gets a bunch of gobblegums. It's not the best reward, but it's something, and we're not here to talk about that today. If you've only heard of this event and you've never actually played it, you might have a huge misunderstanding of how this event is done. You might think, oh my goodness, the AFKers, the glitchers, they might have the leg up and there's no point, I'm never gonna win. That's not how this works. You get randomly paired with 29 other people, and those are the only people you're going up against. So there are, 1 in 30 of the entire Zombies population that's going to win all of these gobblegums. And it's not just the top gobblegum, it's all of the gobblegums before. So it's honestly not terrible. Now let's go over how points are awarded. You get 1 point for regular zombies, 25 points for special enemies, 100 points for elite enemies. But then the biggest twist of them all, you get crazy amounts of points for completing Easter eggs. Liberty Falls, they say you get 3,500 points. Terminus, you get 7,500 points. Citadel, you get 10,000 points for an Easter egg completion. The Tomb goes down to 6,000 points, and Shattered Veil back up there with 9,000 points. But the big question is doing these Easter eggs over and over versus high rounding versus the Abomination challenge, what is going to be the most efficient? So I have created yet another spreadsheet to help you figure this out. So I did go back and do every single Easter egg, and I did them rather quickly. I didn't speed run them. I didn't do any super big cheats or skips or anything. I didn't use any gobblegums because I know some people are, upset, like, oh my goodness, I don't want to have to use gobblegums for pay to win. And from what it seems, from everyone I've heard, all of these brackets are pretty balanced so that if you give any effort whatsoever, you're probably going to win anyway. So please don't worry about using gobblegums. But just so you know, when you're looking at these times, it wasn't a speed run. I just did them urgently. Starting up, we have Terminus. Of course, Terminus being one of my favorite Easter eggs, I've got a lot of practice, and doing this urgently, I was able to do this in about 47.5 minutes. Again, I'm sure a lot of people can do this faster, but I did it in 47.5 minutes, and I got a total of 9,635 points, giving me a fairly respectable 202 points per minute, which translates into 12,170 points per hour. I decided to keep both of these on here just in case you guys like one more than the other. Citadel Day More, I've also had quite a bit of practice with Citadel, was able to do this next fastest in just 49 minutes, and I got a total of 11,952, giving me the best points per minute of the main quests here at 243.92 points per minute. The Tomb, I thought the Tomb was really fast, but I think I made a mistake. I did wait till round 25 for double tap, and then I got legendary triple pack-a-punch. I only got 9,231 points. And I did it in 54 minutes. It's the longest main quest I've done so far, and that brought me down all the way to 170 points per minute, so not super great there, but I'm sure a lot of people can do that faster, and if you were able to do that in 45 minutes, then it would be on par with Terminus or something, but I don't know. It's just the Tomb. I don't like the boss fight. I don't want to go in with a gun that doesn't kill the Sentinel artifact, but if you go in with the Maelstrom, the Strider 22s, whatever, you're probably going to be just fine. Shattered Veil got us 11,562 points, and I did it in the longest time in 56 minutes. I don't have a lot of practice with Shattered Veil. I'm terrified of that Z-Rex boss fight still. I just have a lot of respect for it, but it's right up there with Terminus, giving me 206 points per minute. So overall, this is all relatively in the same range. Your results may vary because you might have a lot faster or a lot slower times on this. And believe me, I'll get you a calculator to where you could put in all of your stuff for yourself. But let's just move on first. Now that we have the main quests out of the way, how good are high rounds? Because the main quests, 10,000 points after an activation or after a completion, that's pretty good. How can a high round even compete with that? So I decided to live stream a round 115 attempt on Terminus, and I played incredibly slow, very, very slow for the first hour or so. So I got to round 115 in 212 minutes, and I got 31,502 points, which is the slowest points per minute so far at 148. But then I decided to speed run the Tomb. Once you get the Ice Staff, all you need to do is camp in the stamina room, and using this strategy, I got to round 100 in 94 minutes, and I got 23,112 points for a whopping 245 points per minute. That is very close to being up there with Citadel Day More. So high rounds looks like they're pretty efficient, at least on the Tomb, very comparable to completing the Citadel main quest, which is great because that means if you prefer main quest, you have an option. If you prefer high rounds, you have an option. I didn't do all of the other high rounds. I was going to do Shattered Veil and Citadel Day More with the oil trap strategy, but then I thought those games have a lot less special and elite enemies than the tomb does. So I wonder if it's going to be less or more. Like I said in the intro, this took me over 12 hours, so I wanted to get this out for you guys before this video was completely irrelevant. And I will say I did turn on the rampage inducer in the tomb once I got the ice staff, and all the way until around like 55 when it shut off. And I didn't really use the rampage inducer. Sometimes I'll use the rampage inducer on like Shattered Veil on the tomb for the first like 5 rounds to get through the first 5 rounds quickly, but that's just me. I don't know how much that affects anything. So now we have the high rounds, we have the main quest, but I heard a lot of talk, a lot of chit chat saying, oh my goodness, the Abomination challenge is going to be perfect because you've got the easy high rounds with the 10 times damage of the zombie snacks mode of the flow state. You've got all of the bosses being spammed. And so I went into the Abomination challenge. I played one game where I got to round 66, which took me, just 1 minute over an hour, 61 minutes. I got 10,608 points. And that gives us 173 points per minute, which is a lot less than you would think. So I thought maybe this is the case because it feels really intense at the beginning of the game when you're actually doing the Abomination challenge with all the specials and elites going on after you. So maybe I'm missing out on points in the early game. So I did the Abomination challenge again, and I just completed it. I killed Mo. In 15 minutes, I got 1,700 points, and then that averaged to the worst points per minute so far with 114 points per minute. And you might be thinking, what's the deal with that? Why is this so low when they supposedly throw in all of the bosses in there? Well, first of all, a lot of the chaos is due to the toxic zombies, and the toxic zombies are just regular zombies. They're not specials, they're not elites, so they don't count for any more points. Secondly, the cadence of the elite enemies and the special enemies is about the same as regular Liberty Falls, meaning that you're not being spammed with abominations and doppelgasts and mimics and disciples in the same way you are in the tomb. The elites you're still going to get once every 5 rounds. The specials you're going to get, whenever you have a mangler, that's about the same. So really, that Abomination challenge isn't giving you any more than regular Liberty Falls. They're just changing the variety of enemies during the Abomination challenge, at least from my observations. So that's it. We're done now. Citadel Day More with 250. That's a good Easter egg. The tomb round 100 with 250. That's a good high round. There you go. Complete video over, right? Well, no, because you see, I think Treyarch might have made a mistake, because you'll notice that I didn't include the Liberty Falls Easter egg in this calculation. That's because when I ran Liberty Falls, we completed it in 27.5 minutes, which is pretty good. I only got 8,140 points, but when you calculate that, that comes out to 296 points per minute. That is by far the best points per minute that we've calculated so far. And I thought this was rather weird. I was like, oh my goodness, maybe I was doing this a little bit too fast. I know that the Dark Ops challenge is there for doing this in under 30 minutes. So I ran it again, and I kind of not took my time, but again, tried to play relatively normal. I went into the boss fight with double Pack-a-Punch purple rarity, only 3 perks, just because I'm fairly comfortable with the Liberty Falls main quest at this point. I didn't do the Etherella step. I used the Strider 22s one game. I used the Maelstrom one game. And again, I beat it in 29 minutes this time, 8,214 points. And that is, again, one of the best points per minute on here, 283. And I thought, what is going on? Because Liberty Falls, according to Treyarch, is only worth 3,500 points. And if we take away 3,500 points from this, that leaves a lot of points for a lot of enemies that I didn't seemingly kill. So I did what I do, and I made another spreadsheet. This is my kind of spreadsheet check, because we all kind of take these points for face value. We go, okay, that's the points. Let's do our calculations there, right? And that's exactly what I did. At the end of all of these games, I took the total amount of eliminations that I did, and then on the after action report, I could see how many special and elite enemies I killed. From there, I can take out the special and elite enemies from the total kills and get my regular zombie kills. And now that we have all of our kills, specials, and elites, I can calculate how many points all of those things are going to count, as well as the main quest points, and that should line up with our total points. Now, I know that's a lot of numbers and a lot of talking. Let's take one game at a time. The Terminus main quest game. I know for a fact when looking before and after my point gain, I gained 9,635 points. At the after action report, I did 1,206 kills, total kills. It told me that I got 6 elite kills and 14 special enemy kills. So when we remove those 20 kills from the total kills, we get 1,186 regular zombie kills. And when we convert that to points, we know our completion points for doing the main quest is going to be 7,500 points. 6 elite kills is going to translate to 600 points. 14 special is going to translate into 350 points. And these points are the points remaining. You could see the formula that I did was taking my total points, which I know 100% I actually got. I tested that, and then I subtracted the main quest points, the elite points, and the special points, And these are the amount of points left over. And in theory, this should match perfectly with the regular zombies. And you can see we're one off. I bet you that's patient 13. I bet you that's just one off from patient 13. So for Terminus, this makes sense. All of these point totals make perfect sense. But then when we add in our Liberty Falls game, we only got 552 kills. We completed the main quest, killed 4 elites, 8 specials, which means that without these enemies, we only killed 540 regular zombies. I know for a fact that I got 8,140 points, minus 3,500 points for the main quest completion, minus 400 points for the 4 elites, minus 200 points for the 8 specials. That leaves us with 4,040 points for 540 zombies. That doesn't make sense. So I calculated everything else, all of the other games that I did. And I'll save you all of the numbers. They all make sense except for this second Liberty Falls game. Again, 602 points, 602 kills, minus 4 elites and 9 specials. We have 589 regular zombie kills. So then when we go over to our points, 8,214 points, minus 3,500 points for the main quest, minus 400 points for the 4 elite eliminations, minus 225 points for the 9 specials, and we have 4,089 points for 589 regular zombies. Something literally isn't adding up. And if you'll notice, both of the Liberty Falls games are off by 3,500 points. And just to show you, yes, this is correct. We're taking these amount of points and subtracting all of these points. So it's not like any sort of miscalculation on my part. What does make sense though, is if Liberty Falls actually in reality was worth 7,000 points. There we go. 540, 540, 589, 589. And so the only conclusion that I can come to is that Liberty Falls in reality is actually worth 7,000 points. I don't know if that's a glitch. I don't know if that's what they intended to. It sure doesn't look like it, but that is exactly what my points are telling me. Now I will update the description, or I'll leave a pinned comment if this ever changes, but this is huge. If you can speedrun, you don't even need to speedrun. I feel like I played those Liberty Falls games very vanilla. Go in with Jug, PhD, and Speed Cola, 2 armor plates, double pack-a-punch, Striders, Maelstroms, whatever, the best gun, the Olympia, whatever if you want to. You can use Gobblegums to get there if you want to. Speedrun this, make this even faster. That is the fastest vanilla way that I have found to get as many points as possible. Now, I do want to warn you. You might be looking at all of these times and think to yourself, Donuts, I could do this way faster. All of this information is useless because I don't know how it applies to me and how fast I do these Easter eggs. And so I have created a blank sheet for you that you can come in here. You can put in your starting points and then your ending points, and that'll get you your point gain for the entire game. And then you can put in how long it took you to do. It doesn't need to be super scientific, and then that'll automatically calculate your points per minute and your points per hour, and you can do that for all the things that you're interested in. Or you can delete this text and put in whatever you want. This spreadsheet, this calculator will be in the description for everybody. But I'm sure some of you know we're not done yet because there is an exploit. And I was debating talking about it, but then I've seen other creators kind of talk about it, so I think I'm going to. Because if you see somebody rapidly gain points, I'm talking like hundreds of thousands of points within an hour, there is an exploit. Now, we all hate the glitchers. We all hate the people who exploit. We don't want to be those people. We don't want to ruin the fun for other people because this is now like a competitive thing we're playing with other people. So what I'm about to tell you, I think the honorable thing to do would to only use this if you see somebody else is using this. And that's really what convinced me to say it, because if you see somebody else just going crazy, I don't want you to feel discouraged if somebody else is glitching in your thing, if somebody else is using this exploit in your thing. And truly, I don't see how Treyarch is ever going to fix this. So here it goes. Let's say you are on Citadel de Mor, 10,000 points, right? You're doing the Easter egg around 29. You initiate the boss fight on round 29. You beat the boss fight. You pick up the amulet. And here's the cool thing. A lot of other people got this wrong. You don't need to do it right when you do the amulet. You can watch the end cutscene. You hit continue. You can spawn back into the game. So long as you are still on round 29, you can save and quit, and then when you reload the game, you will be on round 29, but remember, you have to turn around because you can't save and quit on the same round, so you have to turn around to get to round 30, and then initiate the boss fight on round 30, do the boss fight, defeat the boss fight. You can hit continue after the cutscene, make sure you're still on round 30, save and quit on round 30, and do this over and over and over again. I did this twice, just to play around with stuff, just to see whatever, and I actually did some pretty good boss fights using this exploit. I beat the Citadel boss fight in 6.5 minutes with the Maelstrom. I got 10,000 points because that counts as an Easter egg completion, and I killed like 250 zombies or something in there, which gave us an absurd 1,500 points per minute, or 94,000 points per hour. Like I said, it just completely obliterates all of this. Please, please don't do this. This is not in the spirit of competition. This is not what we all want for the competition. But if you are in a bracket, because I've seen a lot of other people say this might be a good way to get caught up. But I just hope that we all have honor and integrity, and we're just better than this because it's just a gobblegum. And I know of this exploit because that's exactly how I test out my boss fights when a new map comes out. That's exactly how I do my, never die to this boss. I just do this, I save and quit over and over again, and I defeat the boss in all these different ways with all these other augments and test all these different things. And I genuinely hope that Treyarch doesn't patch that aspect of it, because I love using that for testing out the boss fights. But I have no idea how they would ever fix that for this point event. So please, let's be a good sport about this. Remember, this event is all about having fun. Learning how to speedrun Liberty Falls is incredibly fun. Doing all of these Easter eggs is incredibly fun. And if you think, oh my goodness, these people are so far out there, remember, some people might get a good head start like me. I got a good head start, but now I might not play for a couple days. So everybody, if you have the unfortunate luck to be in my lobby, I have like 165,000 points right now. I'm taking like the next couple days off maybe. So there might be a good opportunity for you to come back and win this. Remember, this goes on for an entire week. So don't be discouraged. So let's recap. Long story short, the Citadel main quest seemingly was the best points per minute, but it looks like from my calculations, the Liberty Falls main quest is actually worth 7,000 points instead of 3,500, which means that if you could do Liberty Falls fast enough, doing the Liberty Falls main quest is going to be the fastest points per minute you can do, including high rounding the tomb. Although your results may vary depending on how fast you do the main quest and how fast you get set up on the tomb, and if you have a save file on the tomb. In terms of the Abomination challenge, it's actually pretty bad. It's not worth doing it here, so don't waste your time. And if you doubt any of these numbers, if you think, Donuts, I could do this Easter egg so much faster than you, or if you think, oh my goodness, I can high round a whole lot better than I could do main quests, then I have linked this exact calculator in the description. You can put in how many points you earn, you can calculate how many points you earn, and then you can put in how many minutes it took you to earn that many points, and you can calculate your points per minute here with this sheet. And if you're feeling burnt out on doing all of these main quests and you haven't done any high rounds, I would highly recommend high rounding on the tomb. You don't need to use the mutant injection. It's honestly really fun and engaging. And if you want to know how to do it, be sure to check out this video and stay beautiful.